Nice. Hey guys, Sean Hammond with PremierGuitar.com. We're in Anaheim, California at Winter NAMM 2016, talking to Chris from ESP Guitars. Chris, you guys have like a bajillion new guitars here, but we're going to narrow it down to these three here, right?
Yeah, we're going to do three things that kind of celebrates what ESP is all about, and that is being happy, being in our own skin, proud to be ESP, not trying to copy what anybody else is doing, just being us.
Cool. So what's this one we're looking at right here?
This is like a real homage to the original Mirages back in the day. So we brought this back in a 400 series price point, which means that it's professional touring quality with professional touring parts, but at an achievable price point or something like that.
What is the price point?
This is about $799.
Okay. And tell us about all the construction and stuff.
Sure. It's a mahogany body, EMG pickups, Floyd Rose tremolo.
8185?
Correct. 8185. And then we have a bound rosewood fingerboard. And we took the side dots to the side just like we did it back in the day. Put them over to, make a little, just the aesthetic of it really, fits to home to where it came from. And these were originally bolt-on, and that's the way we're doing it again. And a lot of people have a conception that bolt-on means less, and it doesn't. I mean, bolt-on guitars, it's a preference. Some people like the sustain and warmth of a neck through or a set neck, but some people like that pop and mid-range strength that only a bolt-on can have, and that's why we're making them this way.
Nice. Okay, so mahogany, maple neck, rosewood fretboard. Yep. You got the Floyd Rose. Is this an original?
Nope, it is a Floyd Rose special, but it is an actual Floyd Rose.
Recessed?
Yes, recessed. Just a single volume and three-way toggle, straight to the point, because there's not many guitar players, especially in metal, that actually use a tone knob, let alone that can spell tone.
When we came into the video, you were playing the bridge pickup, right? You want to do a couple other positions?
Sure. And I'll show you a couple other positions. So you have the bridge pickup, which is really essential for heavy rhythms and the sharp, piercing lead sound. Now we're going to go a little bit to the neck position, which has that more rolly, warm, kind of creamy sound to it.
You want to do the middle position just for shits and giggles?
The middle position, I usually like to use that with a clean tone, but it also makes a really cool tone to use effects on. And I don't have any here, but just for people that don't normally know this, taking a flanger or a chorus or any kind of modulation effect in the mid position between the two pickups adds a really neat thing that sits right through the center of the mix.
Textural.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so next to you, you've got a guitar that's kind of quite a bit different than that. Let's take a look at that.
It is. No, this one here is part of the whole 200 series that I'm trying to show out to the world. And what I mean by that is that we've taken the 200 series and really went back to what ESP is all about and made it a performance-driven instrument, not just for the aesthetics. It's like heavy aesthetics, but more about the build. So this is the TE200. Now, previously, the whole 200 series had a little bit more aesthetic to it, or not aesthetic, let me rephrase that. The old 200 series had more of a classic look to it, more of a vintagey look. But that's not really what ESP is about. ESP,
like maple headstock and stuff, right?
Yeah. A little bit more traditional, a little bit more the normal burst, with the normal, what you'd expect from the pickup selections and stuff like that. So we wanted to go straight ESP, which is humbuckers. We want the elbow contouring here. We want the tilt-back headstock for tuning stabilities. We want it to look ferocious too, because it's not just. I mean, we love the shape, but at the same point, the neck shape has to be more about what ESP is about.
So it's a little thinner profile.
Yeah, it's a thin U profile with nice rounded shoulders. So that way you can really have a lot more time on the neck and have a lot more endurance, I guess is the word that I'm looking for.
What's the radius on the fretboard?
It's 12. It's a 12-inch radius, and we also have it compensated here with this type of hardtail bridge, which is similar to that of like a hip shot. And the reason of that is because the mass of the bridge sits on more of the body rather than being saddles sitting separately, or whether it be like a tune-o-matic that sits up high and the strings go through. We wanted it to feel, contact, and the way that it feels in the hand is flat and smooth, kind of like when you have a Floyd Rose or something like that. You can transition from one to another and feel very natural.
I like that sort of trapezoidal shape too.
Yeah. And even the pickups we went, now a lot of people think that when you see an ESP pickup, that means it's the cheapest pickup. You just find the cheap company to sell something for $4, but it's not. We actually designed these things to, we actually wound them up a little bit hotter. We made the pole pieces black, so it has like this, just a darker look to it. Make it a little bit more about what ESP is about.
Now, were these brand new pickups?
Yep.
I don't recall seeing those.
Nope, brand new for this year.
So were they pretty hot?
Yeah, they are pretty hot, and you wouldn't expect that from a guitar that is, under $400. And they sound great.
24 frets?
Yep, 24 frets.
I was going to say, it looks like the neck pickup is pushed back a bit, so you probably get a little more clarity out of this pickup than with a lot of neck pickups.
Good observance, good observation. That's great. You would get a lot more clarity out of this. It doesn't quite have the sludgy doo-doo-doo that you would get out of a normal neck pickup, so it is pushed back. And then even the heel joint is, contoured a little bit better for the access as well.
What's the body on it?
This is a mahogany body, and with a maple neck, 3-piece maple neck, rosewood fingerboard, and it is bound all the way around. This isn't just, paint masking. This is nice actual binding done.
Sweet. Should we hear it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Kind of a darker sound than the other guitar we heard, right?
That's an EMG, which is a really high compression, really high output. These are hot pickups, but they're more organic sounding.
All right, let's hear the other couple positions. It's interesting, on the higher strings, it seemed like there was more clarity on the neck pickup than you often hear on neck pickups. But when you're playing on the 6th string, it seemed pretty oomph. There's oomph. Like I could feel it through the stage, like vibrating through the stage.
It's hard to believe, that's what I always say. Back a long time ago, a lot of guitar companies were making their own pickups. So it was hard to get a major pickup company to put them in your guitar stock. So people were making their own. And we went back to that formula ourselves. And not for all of our products, of course, but on stuff in the 200 series, we want to make sure that our branded pickups are great to play on. If you want to change them, go ahead. But we want to make sure that when you get a guitar right out of the box, you feel like you want to hold it for life. These aren't supposed to be disposable.
How much is this going for?
This one here is about, I think, a street price, about $389.
Oh, wow. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look at the last instrument we've got over here, and then maybe you can mention some of the other highlights of the series that have been revamped or whatever. But tell us about this bass.
Well, this is just one of the many basses that we came out with this year because we have made a big initiative for bass players. A lot of guitar companies who make basses pretty much just make basses for crappy guitar players. So we wanted to make basses for bass players. And since I'm not really a bass player myself, I surrounded myself by great bass players during this project, bringing guys in who are on the progressive side of playing.
Anyone you can mention?
Sure. I mean, everybody from Kyle Conkiel, and most of our bass guys actually have come in, even from our Latino side of things, with Eddie Resto and Pancho Tomaselli, and all these guys came in. We just talked bass, and I picked their brains. And even metal guys like Jared from Machine Head came in. We were all talking about bass all the time, and I learned a lot about the way they think. So that's when you realize that not all bass players are the guy that's last in line to get the chick. Some of them are really very intuitive, wonderful guys. Just bass players.
Some ladies like bass better. My wife likes bass better. Well, I don't know. What's a guy gonna do?
Called roofies. No, just kidding.
So what was the consensus, or what were some of the high points of those conversations with those bass players?
Really what they wanted things that perform better, and they liked exotic woods because they are tone woods. And the way to use the tone woods, not just for decoration, but for the sake of where they're placed. The bass players that are in this type of thing like a different aesthetic as well. They don't really into the big graphics, the big shiny, stuff. So we went into a very organic thing, because a lot of these bass players are very organic players. So it was more about true, natural, raw tone rather than any kind of coloring and things of that nature. And they like options, lots of electronic options.
So what's the body wood on this one?
This one here, we have an ash body with a rosewood top. Now, so we took a rosewood top.
See that very often.
You don't, and it's
You're like George Harrison with the telly or something.
Exactly, kind of. It's very out there, and we took with the rosewood fingerboard, but we also used a wenge for the neck, and we've done a few different things, all exotic woods on all these new basses that we've been doing.
What's this one called again?
This is the it's the B1000 MS, stands for Multiscale, and that's what this bass is. It's a multi-scale bass to where
The fan fret.
Yeah, what that is the frets go different directions because each string has a different scale length.
Because of the staggered bridge down here.
And the staggered nut. So as there's a point down here of reference, so every fret will end up reaching to that point if you had an imaginary line that goes there. And that's a different measurement in itself. So we used a 37 to like a 34-inch scale length, and that's for the ergonomics of the way the hand moves. So in essence, the way the frets are angled should be where your fingers are angled.
Tell us about the electronic options you mentioned that all those guys all sort of had the consensus on.
Yeah, so we've realized that there's new sounds out there, and we always love EMG, and they've always made so many great things for us. And we wanted to experiment with some other stuff as well, and we were turned on to a company called Nordstrand. And this company, Nordstrand, we noticed that a few different companies were using their big singles, their type of pickups, kind of like a jazz single coil. But we didn't feel that was very ESP. So we were like, okay, we went and found, we talked to them about doing, it's called a double, a noise canceling version. So we got those, so they're Nordstrand noise canceling. And with this, we have they're passive pickups with the active EQ. And you can turn that on and off. And you can also choose where your mid frequency is, whether it be at 400 hertz or 800 hertz. So we have a low, mid, and high, volume, and blend. Sort of on the pickups.
So is sort of the goal of these to get a more pristine and clean J-style sound?
No, I think it's a mix, because with the blend, and because they're noise canceling, they're kind of like humbucking. It's almost like a mix between a J and a P, like in both settings. So it's like almost taking a PJ combination here and a PJ combination there. Right here's the passive. Then to the active side, which gives it a big boost. And then the mid change, you can change from here. Then you just heard that noise. Now let's change the other one. So it's more of that tight, like in the center pocket sound.
So the toggle just engages like a mid scoop or something?
It changes where this mid knob is from 400 hertz to 800 hertz. So you have a choice where you want that mid to be on the EQ.
Okay, so run through the knobs again.
Bass, mid, treble, volume, and blend. So, now you have the bridge pickup, neck pickup, and then blend however you want in the middle.
Cool. Can we flip it around the back and take a look?
Yes. And look at the mix of that Babinga and Wenge.
Looks nice, and it's got a nice solid 6-bolt neck.
Yes. And we have different versions of these with regular fretting that are with a burled maple top, with mahogany back, with a walnut neck through. And we also have them with Babinga tops, which are bolt-on with standard fretting, but with Wenge and Babinga necks as well.
How much is this going for?
These are about $13.99.
Okay, cool.
So it is a professional grade. Everything about it is high end, but it's not the back-breaking price. Normally, something like this would be well into the 2,500s.
Well, you guys have a ton of new stuff, and we've probably worn out our welcome. I think you have someone who wants to come perform on the stage now. So why don't you tell people where to go online to check out all the other new stuff?
Well, I always like to say get right straight to the source at www.espguitars.com. Take a look at the 2016 NAMM page. We have everything from a whole new line of 200 series that's really about, like I said before, feeling good about being in your own skin, being proud to be ESP. We're not trying to copy anybody. We're not trying to fill somebody else's void. We just want to be us, and if you don't like it, then you can go find somebody else, because it seems that from the way this room has been looking all weekend, everybody likes to be here.
I thought you were going to tell people to do something else, but you can go find somebody else.
You can beep yourself.
All right, Chris, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Sean Hammond for PremierGuitar.com.